Today I am here and I'm going to be giving you guys a review of this flight case. No, I'm not. This is actually, believe it or not, a piano. Yeah, there's a legit acoustic piano inside of this little box, and I'm going to unbox it and review it for you guys. It's a bit of a different video than I usually do. It's a bit of an interesting, different instrument than I usually review. I'm here at a recording studio, oddly enough. I'm usually filming my videos in my own studio or at a music store. But today I'm in someone else's recording studio. The information for it will be in the description of this video. And they have this interesting oddball little thing in their collection. Now, if you know anything about me, you may know that I love weird instruments, even if they don't work well, even if they don't sound good. I love the idea that somebody came up with the idea of, okay, pianos are cool, boxes are cool, let's put a piano in a box. I'm being silly. I don't know why I'm being so silly. I think it's because this instrument has a silly nature to me, and it makes my silliness come out. But I'll try to be a little bit more serious now, and let's show you how this opens up. There are 4 latches on the side, 2 of them over here by me, and 2 of them over here. And once you undo those, on the front here, there's panel, will then undo. And as you can see, yeah, it's a piano. You've got the action up here, you've got the keys down here, and the keys actually will fold up and mesh with these little connecting rods down here. It's basically a spinet piano where the keyboard folds away. And basically what you do now is you push the pedal down, which will release the key bed. It's a little bit awkward because this thing is kind of in the way and I don't want to step on it. And then this lifts up and goes like that. Very satisfying sound. Then you're going to want to lift this up, I think, next. Oh, that folds down. Magnets keep it in place. And there you go. There's your piano. That is what it does. The final step would be to open this up and make sure all those connecting rods are nicely meshed in with the keys. You just kind of want to run your fingers along here and push them all the way in to make sure they won't slip out and cause a dead key. And here you go. This is the piano. There's no music desk for it, interestingly enough, because it would have been used on the road, and a lot of the times people will not use music desks on stage. But this is the instrument. It's called a Helpinstill, and as you can probably tell by the aesthetic, the metal plate kind of reminds me of like a Rhodes or a Whirly. You can see a Rhodes here. It doesn't have the metal plate on it like the one over there does. It's from the 70s. It's by a company called Helpinstill, which I believe was German. And it's an acoustic piano in a box. Now, the Fender Rhodes is very famous for being extremely heavy, and this takes that to a whole new level. It's a acoustic piano in a box. It's got a full metal harp here, just like a real piano would, and so as a result, it is extremely, extremely heavy. Now, the harp on this piano also, not only is it a real harp like you'd find on a real piano, but it's also apparently extra thick to try to help with tuning stability. This is an acoustic instrument meant to be taken on the road, and it takes a long time to tune a piano, so you don't want them to be going out of tune all the time. So that harp was made extra thick to help it stay in tune, and that's why it's extra, extra heavy. Fortunately, it has wheels and it has really nice handles on this side, nice durable metal handles, although I wouldn't want to spend too much time carrying this thing around because it is extremely heavy. Another interesting thing about it is it's actually also electric. It has a knob over here that doesn't seem to want to turn, as well as some output and a microphone balanced connector here. So it's also an electric instrument, and you can see that there's a pickup here and there's pickups behind the strings. Well, that's also kind of interesting. I would imagine it would have a similar type of a sound to a Yamaha CP80. I guess this was sort of like perhaps intended to be an upright competitor to that, perhaps. Anyway, let me give you guys a quick little demo of what this piano sounds like. There is, again, an actual damper pedal here that works too. So when you push that down, it will lift the dampers off the strings like on a normal piano, and you can play it. But as you can hear, it is rather out of tune. But regardless, let me give you as good of a demo as I can, and I hope you enjoy it. One thing I wanted to mention about this piano is that it's not exactly being actively used in the studio. It's more being kept around for a novelty, for the oddball thing of, hey, look, somebody decided to put a piano in a box kind of a thing. It's not really kept in tune. It's not really kept mechanically in shape either. It's just simply here for the oddity and for the novelty, because it really is unique. I don't know how many of these were made, but this is the first one that I have ever seen. I believe there should be other content of them online on the internet as well, but this is the first one I've ever seen for myself, and I never even knew something like this existed in the 70s until today. I do believe I heard of a manufacturer back in like perhaps the late 1700s here in America who made a folding piano that was a rather similar idea to this, and I think there were other folding pianos that have been made. But this is the first Helpinstill one that I've seen, and the 70s aesthetic is also really kind of funny. So let me try to play some music on here. As you can see, when I push down keys, some of them like to stick. That probably would be an actual very easy fix. It probably just needs a little bit of lubricant to be put on some of the joints. And it's not, actually, most of the keys are working pretty well. It's just a few of them here. I'm just trying to see which ones do it. Not that many. There are also a few strings up here that are missing too. And I don't know if that's well, I know it's because they broke, but I don't know if these take like standard length piano strings or how you'd even remove the action to put a string. I don't know. It would be an interesting project to replace those strings. But anyway, let me get on to playing it. So I don't even know what the first piece I should begin to play on this is. I guess I'll play my usual little arrangement of pieces that I usually play. Let's try my treble test piece and see how well that works on here. This note is already misbehaving. I'm really surprised at how much presence there actually is up here in the high treble. Well, if it works now. I was playing some notes and I was like, wow, that was surprisingly loud. Like, that actually is surprisingly loud. You wouldn't expect a small little piano to be that loud, but it is. All right, let's try playing something else on here. Let's play some Bach. Let's mutilate Bach on this little thing. It's so hard to play because it's completely different from, like, for example, the pedal alone is messing me up. First of all, it's noisy. And so that in itself, I'm trying to keep that as quiet and play the piano and try to get around these notes that aren't working properly, and then it's just like, so I can definitely see, as much as I love it for being completely quirky, and as much as I'd love to thank the owner for letting me play it and do a video of this instrument, I can definitely see why, I would imagine, production wasn't very long and why these aren't as revered as other musical instruments from the time, like the Rhodes and the Wurlitzer. Because unfortunately, the idea of putting a piano in a box just really doesn't work. I'm so sorry. But in case you're wondering why I tortured you with playing this out-of-tune piano, it's because in the past when I found odd, quirky pianos that were wildly out of tune, I've been like, oh, it's out of tune. I'm not going to play it. And I've gotten comments saying, you should have played it anyways. So that's what I'm doing. Yes, I'm being silly. I know. I'm sorry. But it's just this instrument is so silly, I really can't take it too seriously. And maybe that's why, another reason why it didn't have a particularly long production life is because you can't look at it and take it seriously. It just makes you want to giggle. It's hilarious and amazing. So I would love to thank the owner of this studio for not only keeping this instrument and preserving it, because I don't think there's too many of these left, but also I'd love to thank him for letting me come here and play this instrument and, in a way, make fun of it. I've never done that before, but I just couldn't help it. It's such a funny, unique, quirky instrument. Should I play one more song on it? Should I torture you guys some more? Yeah, what else should I play here? Oh, I thought I have another one I can do too. Oh, that key doesn't work. Ah! Now, I'd be really curious to see what it actually would sound like if it was in tune and if these keys weren't working properly and if the pedal wasn't super, super noisy. Would it actually sound like a legit instrument that you could actually use? I really, really wonder that. The other song I can totally play on here is this. Got all the noisy, jingly bits and everything that make it totally fitting for that type of music. I really need to learn the full song on that. There's been so many panels lately that I've been like, that piece would totally work on it, but I've got too many things going on right now to learn the full thing, but that would totally work on this as well. So I really hope that you guys have enjoyed this review of this odd, quirky, hilarious piano. I absolutely love it for how ridiculous it is. But I can definitely see why it's not as revered and not as famous and well-loved as an instrument such as perhaps the Rhodes that's over here. Everyone loves the sound of the Rhodes, everyone loves the Rhodes, but the Helpinstill, unfortunately, even though it has somewhat of a similar aesthetic to earlier Rhodes than this one, the metal and the black logo just kind of reminds me of that. Even though it may be from the same time period, it's not as well-loved as even something like the CP80, which I believe was from a similar time period, and many people still love that instrument today, and it was used on many recordings. If you know of any recordings, any songs that used a Helpinstill upright, please let me know. I want to hear what it would have sounded like back in the day. I would love to hear that. Please let me know in the comments any music that was performed back in the day on this unusual, oddball little instrument. So I think it's about time to button up the video, and before I go, I will also button up the piano to show you how that goes. It's basically the reverse of what I did before, so let's check that out. It's been a long gig, and now it's time to put the Helpinstill away. I mean, could you imagine being on stage, performing on this thing for an hour, 2, 3, however long you said is, and then afterwards you have to pack it up and move it. Now, I mean, there are advantages to this over a traditional upright piano as far as moving it around is concerned. It's a much smaller form factor. It's got the nice handy handles on the side, handy handles, that's cool. And it's also got big wheels underneath, and it's just a pretty small form factor. And you don't have to worry about putting it in a case. It is its own case. But also, it's, again, really not the ideal instrument to be using around on set because it's so heavy. So to pack it up, there are 2 things under here that look like knobs that you turn, and this one over here does turn, but basically they're levers, and you pull it back, and last time I did, I'm gonna kneel on this, I think it can do that. Last time it just swung down really fast, so if I, there we go. It's got some weight to it, it's got some springs or something in there that are making it want to go down. So then basically that just folds down like that, and you can see now all of the mechanism in here. The keys will pull up on this like on a traditional spinet piano. So basically this is a spinet piano, but in a box. Then you lift this up. Let me just make sure that's all the way in, I think so. Lift this up. It's got magnets, so it just kind of sits there, nice and handy. And then this top piece will fold down. I think actually it's supposed to be the other way around, I think. Because that's how it was here in the studio. It was like this. Yeah, that's it. And there you go, that's the Helpinstill. So then, once you latch it up with the latches over here that are giving me a hard time, once you do that, then you can just, you know, heave and hoe and use all your strength and move it around. I'm actually making it look kind of easy, but believe me, it's very heavy. All right, guys, it's time to head out. It's not behaving. It's going to hit something, so I'm going to stop that now. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the review of the Helpinstill. Again, I just can't take it seriously. I'm being so stupid and goofy in this video, but I love this thing. Thank you again so much to the owner of the studio for letting me come here and just mess around with all of his cool stuff. You can see he's got all kinds of neat things in the background here of the video as well. So thank you very much. His information will be in the description of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this odd little piano that you might not have ever seen before. If you have any personal experiences with them, please let me know. I'd love to know what these were like back in the 70s, what they were like to play, what music was used for them, and just let me know more about it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to go ahead and check out my other videos. If you liked that, make sure to subscribe. And if you do that, well, thank you very much, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.